Hi, I'm Effie and I'm currently rereading my childhood favourite series, The Saga of Darren Shan.
Pitch black, yeah, his eyes are green. Head's messed up but heart so clean.
I fairly recently discovered that there's actually a manga of the series. So today I'm going to be reading the first volume. This is the Omnibus edition in the manga. And we're just gonna hang out in the library in my little reading nook on my beanbag and read this. I'm super excited to read it because obviously I haven't read the manga before, but I absolutely love the book series, or I did when I was a kid, and I'm really interested to see how it translates into a manga. So I guess join me and let's see how I get on with this. Spoilers abound, as I think this covers the first two books, Cirque Du Freak and The Vampire's Assistant. Spoilers for those, but I guess let's get stuck in. Okay, I'm just going to quickly stop. I'm not very far in, but it makes me chuckle. So you can see that's clearly euros, and then somewhere around here they mention dollars, and I'm like, that's a really weird continuity. I don't know if it's deliberate because there's like there's a line in Cirque Du Freak about like it could happen anywhere, or like the places have been changed or whatever, and the whole point is that like you don't know where it's happening. So I don't know if it's deliberately got a lot of mixed up stuff. Also, it's got like American terms like middle schoolers and grade schoolers, which is really weird to me because there's definitely none of that in the like UK editions of the books. But anyway, I'm going to get back to it because so far I'm enjoying it. It is a little bit silly, but it's also a great different way to enjoy the story. So I've completed the first chapter, which is like that portion, and I'm quite surprised at kind of how little of the story we've progressed, because I feel like we're not that far through, but I think in the books that's quite a fair chunk of the story. It's really weird because obviously they've cut out an awful lot of the story, but you still do get the general gist. I think I'd be interested to see how much of the story you get if you're not super familiar. Because obviously I very recently reread book 1 and 2, so I know like exactly what's going on. But I do think this story is easy to follow. I'm just not sure how much of the story between the lines you would pick up on. So I'm now at the end of chapter 2, and again, it's sticking fairly close to the original, but there are a few tweaks. Like, for some reason, Mr. Crabsley's like staying at a fairground, which is a bit odd. And also, in this version, Darren's the one that gets the flyer for the Cirque Du Freak, and Mr. Crabsley's the one that gave him the flyer, which is obviously a change from the original, when I think it was either Tommy or Alan's older brother had the flyer. So it's a lot more direct in getting the boys to come to the Cirque. I am still enjoying it. I am interested to see where the rest of the story takes me. But I must be pretty close to the end of book 1 and then move on to book 2, which I'm very interested to see how they depict that, because that gets pretty brutal. I really like the scene where Darren and Crapsley are on the stage together. I think it does a really good job of portraying Darren's conflicted feelings about how he's enjoying his life at the Cirque, and that some of the good things that have happened to him wouldn't have happened if he hadn't have been made a half vampire. But also he remembers that he vows to kill Crapsley, and it just does a really good job of depicting his very conflicted feelings. And I am almost at the end. I'm finding that the adaptation of book 2 feels like it's reading a lot quicker. I think there's a lot more action, and also it seems to be like following the story beats a lot closer, but obviously also still removing little bits to make it more palatable as a manga. But I'm enjoying it, and I'll probably check back in at the end with some final thoughts. And that's volume 1 complete. So, a couple of notes. One, there's one instance of outdated ableist language. It's not the same wording as is in the original novels. I don't know if it's a cultural thing, because I know some countries find some terms acceptable that other countries don't find acceptable. But the way that one of the little people is described is not great. Another thing is that some of the gore is pretty well depicted, like on a level with Battle Royale level of gore. I'm gonna just quickly see if I can get the page up. Yeah, this one here, where RV's arms have been bitten off, it just reminds me so much of a spread that you'd see in Battle Royale. But there's also gruesome bits that they've very carefully almost like censored, like when Sam's being eaten by the wolf man. Instead of seeing his insides, there's a coat placed over him. And I love Sam's final scene in general. It included that line that I loved in the book where Darren says he gave up his human life to save one friend, so he wouldn't mind dying to save another. And that line gets me every time. I also really like the way that it's been adapted, so that when Crepsy's encouraging Darren to drink Sam's blood, whereas in the novels Sam is unconscious, which okay is probably more accurate, but in the manga Sam is actually encouraging Darren to drink his blood, and Sam actually knows that Darren is a vampire. And I just thought that was a really sweet touch. So overall, really enjoying the manga. I'd be interested to see how the language holds up in the other books, considering there was that one instance of not great description of disability, but really well done, and very excited to check out the other 5 volumes, which there will be a schedule of the months that I'm reading these books, so do check it out in the description if you'd like to follow along. But until next time, bye.
There's a place